I don't know any other sport where literally hundreds of thousands of people have accomplished a milestone, and the talking point among the plebes is that it's an impossible milestone to hit. Is it possible to bench press 400 pounds drug free? That's what we're going to get to the bottom of today, because I did a bench press video a couple of weeks ago, and the title, I was really proud of the title. It's my YouTube clickbait wizard skills are so on point. I can trick you guys into watching my shitty videos by manipulating your small brains. So my title was, if you haven't bench pressed 400 pounds, watch this. And I was proud of that. I thought that was a good, clever bit of copywriting, if I do say so myself. But some of you swear that if I don't just use the file name of the video as the title, that I must be using some dark magic to trick you into buying my bullshit testosterone supplements. But I digress. Now, as is normally the case, people, instead of focusing on the message of the video, which is if you are in the process of hitting these strength milestones, this is what you need to do to get stronger to guarantee success. Instead, people focused on the literal title and the numbers. So there were a lot of people fixated on 400 as a number. Is it possible? Is it likely? Do you just have to be on a shit ton of steroids? And it got a little bit hairy. Now, I want to start off by saying, what are my qualifications to talk about this? Because Bromley, you're a filthy cheater. You compete in dirty, untested strength competitions where everybody shares needles and swallows vials of Tren, and they're taking decades off their life so they can win a plastic trophy. And that's actually a very good question. My qualifications are that I trained for 15 years completely drug-free, and I competed for 6. My first couple of years doing strongman, I had no drugs in my system, no supplements, no gray area bullshit. And in my first couple of years, I actually ended up going to nationals and placing mid-pack. I deadlifted over 600 pounds natural. I bench press over 400 pounds drug-free. And that's not even the most important thing, because what works for me, not necessarily the same as what works for any group of people. Really the coaching. I've been coaching for decades, and I've coached a lot of drug-free lifters. I've coached a lot of people that have all kinds of different circumstances, leverages, builds, and having that perspective is really what gives you a bird's eye view of what is possible if somebody really commits themselves long term to achieving a goal. Now, one of the reasons I want to pipe up when people say things like this is because this sentiment of people patting themselves on the back for being like too smart to fall for the trap of spending a lot of time doing hard work when victory isn't guaranteed. Like you almost got me. You almost got me to spend years training really hard and squeezing out progress to be better than I am now. But I wouldn't have gotten 100% of the way there. I would have gotten 60% of the way there. So what's the point? That mentality usually comes from people who are low-level lifters, who are frustrated with their lack of progress, who have a vested interest in believing that there is something outside of their control keeping them where they are. And it's also from people that tend to have the absolute worst vantage point when it comes to figuring out what the limits of human ability are. The people that talk about genetic limits have never been within 100 square miles of their own genetic limit. So it's one thing to contend with the mentality that people have of, if I'm not going to win, if I'm not going to be John Hack, then what's the point? It's even worse when misinformation gets spread and people say things that are kind of provably not correct, and that thing they have no reason to believe is what fuels this kind of black-pilled, like, it's all out of my hands, there's no reason to do anything, it's all genetics and steroids, and why do I even show up for work in the morning? I want to start off by saying that mentality does infinitely more damage than expectations that are accidentally too high, or even shitty training recommendations. For as much as people hate on people that push kind of like bullshit training methods, or that they think are being like disingenuous with the types of things they sell, like V-Shreds doesn't do as much damage as somebody who is on a mission to convince people that it's not possible to hit really high goals. The cost on one end is somebody getting people to be really excited to go do something that's kind of dumb or not really optimal, but they're out, they're working, they're excited to lift, they have belief that they can change their situation. On the other hand, the cost is people just don't even go to the gym to begin with. People just stop training. They get distracted. They stop chasing their goals. Well, I can't do that. So what's the point? Let's prioritize all these other things. If you want to weigh out what's more damaging, that bullshit mindset, absolutely, it's not even a question. Absolutely. I want to take a second to talk about Boost Camp, this channel sponsor. They're the reason that I can do this full time. It's the reason that I don't concern myself with my wife, my dogs, my obligations. I spend all day thinking about how I can bestow such vital wisdom onto you guys. Boost Camp is the reason I can do that. They have a fantastic application for logging your workouts. I am very much a 50 cent a notepad type of guy, but I forget my gym bag half the time, or I don't have a pen. By the time I get to a pen, I forgot what my fourth exercise was or how much weight I used on the stack when I was doing cable flies, and it drives me effing crazy. This is super convenient. It's on your phone, but that's only the first thing. The second layer, because this goes so much deeper, guys. The second layer. Oh, who's that sexy guy right there? Oh my God, I look like Sloth from the Goonies. I don't know who picked this picture, but I am still very thrilled to be among this list of high achievers. You got Dr. Soul, Cody Lefevre. I know him. GZCL, had the pleasure of interviewing him some time back. Alberto Nunez, Mr. Natural Universe. You got Mr. Candido JVS up here with his programs. You got Bald Omni-Man, Knuckles. If you want to train like a 70s powerlifter, I got my programs up there. If you just want to get big as shit, Jeffrey Verity Schofield, Bald Omni-Man, so many other people have really good hypertrophy programs up there. If you want to do powerlifting, you got Knuckles, you got Bryce Lewis, you got so many good people on this app. It's absolutely free. It is such a good resource to use, and it's just so absolutely convenient. So I recommend you guys hit the link in the description. Check out Boost Camp. Again, absolutely free. Thank you so much, because sponsoring them is in fact sponsoring me. So I appreciate your support. So let's talk about this gentleman, Matthew Minogue. He says, in all honesty, is a 400-pound bench press even achievable for most men naturally? When we're talking 3 plates plus, most people that I talk to that have done that kind of weight were on gear at one point or another. I've never talked to someone benching in the mid-high 300s without using any form of PEDs. I'm really struggling to get to 315 at 180 pounds naturally. I can't see myself reaching much more than that weight. So we already see the qualifiers coming in. You're not fixated on benching a lot of weight. You're fixated on doing so with these qualifiers, starting with the list of things that you're not willing to do. You want to bench this weight at a certain body weight. And this is something that is so common. It's not that it's incorrect or it's bad. I think it's actually best that most people have some type of body weight qualifier to keep you more healthy, to keep your body fat down. It's better if lifters are strong, but also aren't like morbidly obese or fat. The thing is, that is a different calculation than chasing strength milestones. Those are not the same things, not even kind of. If you are a competitor and you're focused on performance, the way that you chase those numbers, whether it's a high jump, whether it's a marathon, whether it's some cycling or swimming record, you mold your body to the demands of the sport. You don't start with a whole bunch of shit that handicaps you and say, well, this is how I want to do it, and it's too hard to do it this way, therefore it's impossible. So these people are starting to like use their list of qualifiers to orient their perspective, and then use all of that BS that's attached to their particular goals to make broad statements to other people about what's too hard. So it's really kind of weird. And again, these tend to be people that have the worst vantage point, the least perspective. Like, how many near 400-pound benchers has this guy talked to? Like, more than 10, more than 5? So that's not really a sample size of, you know, who is on gear and who isn't. Then you add in the fact of like, well, you don't know who's on gear and who's not, because if you're strong and you're not on gear, nobody believes you. I think all the natty guys on YouTube, the Jeffrey Verity Schofields, Bald Omni-Mans, Natural Hypertrophies, I think they're starting to see that as they practice what they preach and they get bigger and stronger, and they're getting their anti-fan communities that are like, there's no way they're natural. And my response, at 180 pounds in quotation marks, this is like me asking if it's even possible to run a 6-minute mile, then mentioning that I weigh 275. I do weigh 275. Some of you have noticed that I'm kind of fluffy recently. Hormones, yes. Wife being pregnant, yes. Her cravings are my cravings. It's great for lifting marginally more weight. It's not great for feeling good or being able to run around the block. And the fact is, because I do like to run, if I was chasing a mile time and I wanted to stay fat, I would have to accept that my mile time was going to stay shitty. If I really wanted to chase a mile time, I would be obligated to mold my body to that goal. If you want to stay light, you aren't going to have great potential for strength. So this is the list of qualifications I give. Everybody looks at it from the top end. They look at the people that are good and look at the things they do and say, well, they do this, therefore you must have to do this to get strong, or it must be genetics, or so on. They don't look at the bottom end, the people that aren't performing, and ask, what are they doing or not doing that I could change that would give me an edge on all these other people that are underperforming? So my conclusion, for any man who A, puts in 10 years of uninterrupted training, that's not training sometimes, that's not doing some bullshit one month and then switching gyms another month and then doing CrossFit for a little bit. That is 10 years of committed, hard, uninterrupted training. It's a feature in your life. It's just what you do. B, actively learns and adjusts their methods. That's a big one. Again, not program hopping, not doing whatever your friends decided to do today, but committing yourself to a method. You have a singular goal and you're chipping away, working towards it, picking up more information as you go, and not having your training diverge across a million different ways, but converge onto one particular method of achieving that goal. And C, this is the big one, guys, commits to gaining the weight necessary to realize the goal. That's molding your body to the demands of the thing that you are trying to display excellence in. I think more men are capable of 400 pounds than are not. And I didn't put it in here, but naturally, yes, I think that's the case. If you had some gulag, some work camp where everybody was given all the calories they could consume, and their entire job day in, day out was to train to develop their upper body to bench press as much weight as possible, and they were to do that under the threat of gunfire for 10 years straight, I think more men would be around a 400-pound bench press than not. As you start to look at all the people you know that don't bench press 400 pounds, you're going to realize that virtually none of them check those boxes. So Matthew continues, that's why I said for the average men, even if they were dedicated to 400 pounds, it seems unattainable. A lot of men cannot reach 220 pounds naturally. At 5'6", I don't think I could get to 225. Granted, I'm a very short man, but I don't know many people whose frames permit them to pack that kind of weight. The 400-pound bench press requires a genetic lottery. So as far as weight goes, no, people can handle a lot of weight. But again, we're talking about people continuously eating the type of eating you need, which is eating like a bodybuilder, living out of Tupperware. If you don't want to get excessively fat, then you have to have control over your body. Again, it's not, is it possible? It's, is it easy? Most people you talk to do not do that. Most don't even have a real concern to trying to gain weight. Forget about how good their eating habits are. Do they even want to gain weight? Most people are hyper concerned about keeping their weight down. Most small guys do not actively want to get bigger. It's very strange. And because of that, they pigeonhole themselves. So they never really gain muscle. They don't really get any leaner. They just kind of stay static. And that has exponentially more to do with their approach to lifting and growing than it does with whatever they think their genetics are. Now, also, I live in Texas. I frequent Walmart, H-E-B, Buc-ee's. God help you if you've ever been to Buc-ee's in Texas. You know that 220 is on the low end of what a man can achieve in terms of slapping flesh on his frame. Now, obviously, you guys don't want to fat fuck yourselves. You don't want to just get obese to lift marginally more. I'm not advocating for that. But I am saying that if you are committed to gaining weight, there is a method, there is a way to do it, to track it, that overwhelmingly the number of people complaining about their shitty numbers are not doing. Yes, most people are not going to get to be 220. Dick skin shredded on stage with like no body fat. Yeah, that's elite. But the people that do get there usually benching a lot more than 400. So if we're talking about a reasonable size for a male, so if we're talking about somebody my height, 5'10", getting to 220, 230 without excessively high body fat, maybe in like the low 20%, that is absolutely doable. And to maximize strength and to fill out your frame, that's usually what's required to get the most potential. This guy's a little bit shorter. Okay, he's 180. Does he have any desire to get to 185, 190? Those short-term goals are what compound into big goals long-term. And again, most people don't do that. They just kind of eat whatever and they end up wherever they end up. Now, I want to talk about what I think the actual number is. He says genetic lottery at the end. You know, that's the last point he puts in there. You have to win a genetic lottery. Well, everything's a genetic lottery. The question is the lottery you're playing, is it like 1 in a million or is it like 1 in 3? As far as the potential for a 400-pound bench, I don't have any hard data. I just have intuition with the people I've seen who have absolutely killed themselves for a decade in order to achieve a goal. The ones, again, that are absolutely committed, not kind of, absolutely committed. I do believe that more men than not are capable of it. I believe that. But there's some other things that go into that. You know, can you do it without getting injured? That's an important question. Will you do it when you decide that there's other things in life that might take precedent? That's an important question. The thing that sets you apart, the thing that you have that will make this thing rare, but also doable, is your willingness to commit to it when other people don't. And that's a superpower no matter where you go into. So they're very different questions. If anything, you should be excited at the prospect that it's hard, so most people don't do it, but it's also very doable if you commit yourself to one particular path. So that is my 2 cents on the subject. Now, some tricks to kind of get around if you do feel stuck. Body weight is the big one that people aren't thinking about. If you have room to gain weight and you've just been putting it off, committing to gaining weight in a reasonable way, in a deliberate fashion, is a good way to do it. So you could kind of tie in, okay, I'm 160 pounds. Maybe if I was 175, I would bench more. Also, you can look at it as a insufficiency of different muscle groups. You could look at it not as your body weight needing to be higher, but do your arms or chest need to be bigger? How big are your arms? How much stronger would your bench be if you put 1 or 2 inches on your arms? You can start to look at your training that way. You can look at it as accessory strength. How strong are those individual muscles? You can evaluate how strong, let's say, your pecs are compared to your shoulders, your back, your biceps, your triceps. And if you realize that, holy shit, I have a really weak back. I can bench 225, but I can't do lat pull downs with 120. Well, then you have something you can chip away at, and by focusing on strength for lagging issues, maybe by getting your triceps stronger, maybe by committing to shoulder exercises you've been putting off for a long time, you can potentially start to close that gap. You can look at it as a skill component. How many bench touches do you need to get to really optimize your returns? Have you been doing kind of a, let's say, a low frequency approach and it hasn't really been working for you? A lot of volume in one workout once a week. Well, maybe you need more skill. Maybe you need to find ways to get more practice. The one thing that I really like, I heard this from Josh Bryant, I've heard it mirrored plenty of other places. The slow kids, assume you don't have the great genetics. Assume that you have very mediocre genetics. If you're not a fast gainer, if you're not somebody that looks at a weight and then can bench 225 the next week, then that means you're like the slow kid in class. That means you have to hit the books harder. It's not less. It's harder. You need more work, more touches. You don't get the same response for every dose of stress. So that means you need to tack together more stresses more frequently. And again, it's molding yourself to the goal that you want to hit. So again, usually the people that are repeating this are people that are low-level lifters that are frustrated, that just don't have the direction, so they feel lost. There is a way out. There is a way to move forward. The real question is not who is gifted with the best genetics, because that assumes that everybody is doing the same thing and it all comes out in the wash, and that is not even remotely the case. You always have a path, a shortcut, a hack, a trick, something that you can implement that gets around the problem that was in your way. And in some perfect world, that's all you were doing, and you would be exponentially farther than where you are now. We don't live in a perfect world, so you have to take it in stride, commit yourself to making little bits of progress and making changes as needed to solve problems as you face them. That is the best you can do. But if you do that, not only is it possible to get there, but wherever you end up, you're going to end up so many miles ahead of where you would have been if you stayed put, didn't do anything at all. The last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, just some numbers for us to sink our teeth into to, again, give you an idea of how these numbers aren't as rare as you might be inclined to think they are. This is a list of all federations, all bench presses that have ever been done on the platform. Geez, look at this, 399.9. Look at all these people. That's a kick in the dick. All these people that were 0.1 pound away. The first 400-pound bench we're finding, 31,141 people have done a 400-pound bench or higher, and that's just what's recorded, what Open Powerlifting has gotten their hands on. Even when you switch over to all tested feds, now of course that doesn't mean all of these people were drug-free, but this is absolutely as close as you're going to get to something that is filtered for performance-enhancing drugs. You are going to see, I mean, what are we at, 14,000 and change? 14,403. That's the number of people in tested federations that have put up a bench press. That is a fraction of the number of people that have actually done it, because everybody and their mother bench presses. Football players bench press, wrestlers bench press, bodybuilders bench press. Very few people actually compete in powerlifting, so keep that in mind. I don't know any other sport where literally hundreds of thousands of people have accomplished a milestone, and the talking point among the plebes is that it's an impossible milestone to hit. So all of you guys need to check yourself. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to not know what the next move is, to go, kick a pillow because you're mad that things aren't going the way you want. That's part of the process. It's not okay to deconstruct all of the world around you to reflect your shitty mood at that moment. There are strategies, there are approaches, there are infinite number of things you haven't tried yet. There is always a way out. It's just a matter of, are you going to be committed and motivated enough to put them into practice? Or are you going to sit on the couch and feel sorry for yourself? It's up to you. So that's all I got for today, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.